In a lonely cabin in the vast American Old West, a man woke up suddenly as the door flew open. A gunman burst in, shooting at him. The man quickly grabbed his pistol and shot back, killing the attacker. Staying alert, he shot at another person outside the cabin. When shotgun blasts came through the roof, he realized he was out of bullets. Thinking fast, he threw his empty revolver at the cabin's stove, creating a distraction so he could grab his Winchester rifle. He aimed up and shot, hitting the person on the roof, who then fell through the wooden beams. The man, named Emmett, stepped outside, saw the damage, and recognized a familiar mark on one of the horses. Deciding it was time to leave, Emmett took the branded horse and set off into the wilderness. In the desert, Emmett found a man in his underwear, dehydrated on the hot ground. Emmett gave him water and invited him to join him. By nightfall, the man, named Payton, told his story of being betrayed by friends who robbed him and took his horse. They reached an army outpost where Emmett gave Payton money for new clothes. Payton saw his stolen horse and the thief. He sneaked into the general store to get a gun. He asked the storekeeper for credit, but was refused. The clerk reluctantly gave him an old pistol with a loose cylinder. Payton took the gun and went to the town square. The thief saw him and charged, shooting. Payton calmly aimed and shot the thief off his horse. As he hugged his horse, an army sergeant questioned him. Payton told him to check his name under the saddle. When asked who he was, a bystander named Cobb spelled out Payton's name. The lieutenant checked the saddle, confirmed Payton's ownership, and told the crowd to leave, advising Payton to get dressed properly. Cobb gave Payton money for clothes, including a hat with a funny shape. Payton thanked him and Cobb invited him to join a new venture out west, but Payton declined, choosing to watch instead. Cobb then met Tyree, a rough and suspicious man being freed from chains. As they left, Tyree asked Payton about a dog, adding a dark tone to their talk. Emmett plans to go to a place called Turley to get his brother, Jake, before heading to Silverado where their sister and her family are waiting. Emmett and Jake look forward to visiting family before traveling to California. Payton, interested in the saloon in Silverado, decides to join Emmett. When they arrive, an old man named Hobart mistakes them for Baxter and Holly and scolds them. Hobart is leading a group of farmers to settle in Silverado. Payton and Emmett become uneasy when the real Baxter and Holly make a suspicious deal with Hobart. While eating at a hotel restaurant, Payton and Emmett see a large black man named Malcolm Mal Johnson come in and ask for a room and a whiskey. The clerk hesitates, but gives him the whiskey. However, the hotel manager quickly tells Mal to leave, refusing to serve him because of his race. 3 men try to throw Mal out, but he quickly defeats them, causing a lot of trouble. Sheriff John Langston then steps in and stops the fight. Even though Emmett and Payton are ready to defend Mal, Langston, knowing the manager's unfairness, tells Mal to leave town without paying for the damage. Mal gathers his things and takes the only unbroken shot of whiskey as he leaves. Langston talks to Emmett and Payton, explaining that despite being British, the people of Turley accepted him because he keeps the peace. He asks why they are in town, and Emmett says they are there to meet his brother, Jake. Langston recognizes Jake as the man in jail for shooting someone. Emmett finds out that Jake shot in self-defense after a romantic mistake, but Langston, following the strict laws of the Old West, has scheduled Jake's hanging for the next morning at 10 a.m. Even though Emmett initially tells Jake he can't help him, outside the sheriff's office, he confides in Payton his plan to free Jake. Payton says he won't join the rescue, and they head to the saloon for a drink. Inside, Payton sees the thief who stole his hat and probably his Colt revolver. The thief tries to draw his gun, but Payton is faster and shoots him dead. After the fight, Langston arrests Payton and puts him in the cell with Jake. The next day, a young boy distracts Langston by telling him the gallows are on fire. Meanwhile, Jake unlocks their cell using his belt buckle. When the deputy checks the cell, he only sees Payton, who then handcuffs the deputy to the cell bars. As the deputy realizes what happened, Payton knocks him out. Jake was hiding behind Payton the whole time. They get their gear and wait outside the sheriff's office until Emmett arrives with horses, leading to a shootout with some townsfolk and the returning Langston. Mal Johnson helps them escape by using his rifle to stop Langston's deputy from hitting Jake and knocking off Langston's hat. Seeing the danger, Langston stops the chase. Mal joins Jake, Emmett, and Payton as they head to Silverado. Later, the group finds Hobart's caravan abandoned in the scrublands, tricked and left by Baxter and Holly, who stole their money. They leave Jake to help the settlers while Payton, Mal, and Emmett go after the traitors. They find a canyon hideout where Baxter and Holly are with their gang. Emmett, pretending to be in a hurry, enters the canyon with Payton lying on a horse, pretending to be dead. He tells Dawson, the gang's leader, that they are running from a posse after a bank robbery in Turley. Dawson, angry about a posse following them, is about to kill Emmett when gunfire starts from above. Mal and a settler shoot from the canyon rim. In the chaos, Emmett releases Dawson's horses and Payton grabs the strongbox, dragging it with his horse. With Mal and the settler covering them, the trio escapes, laughing about their success. However, the settler, not trusting them, demands the strongbox, but is killed by one of Dawson's hidden gunmen. After shooting back and killing the gunman, they meet up with Jake to lead the settlers to Silverado. That night, around the campfire, their friendship grows. Payton mentions his interest in Hannah, the widow of the dead settler. Mal talks about his tough times in Chicago's slaughterhouses and his hope to reunite with his family on their farm in Silverado. Once the settlers are safely delivered, the team rides into Silverado, each heading towards their own path. Payton goes to the local saloon and meets Stella, the manager and former dancer known as the Midnight Star from Virginia. They connect instantly and become friends. Their moment is interrupted by Cobb, now the sheriff, who affectionately calls Silverado heaven. Meanwhile, Mal reaches his family's farm and finds it taken over by livestock. His father, Ezra, is hiding in a nearby cave, forced out by McKendrick's men. Ezra tells Mal about his mother's death and his sister Ray's tough situation in town. Determined, Mal vows to restore their lives. At their sister's house, Jake and Emmett reunite with their family. Their brother-in-law, a land claims agent, warns them about the town's corruption under Cobb's control. Despite this, Jake and Emmett still plan to go to California. The next day, Mal's father goes to a stream for water and meets two of McKendrick's men. They steal his Henry rifle and shoot him dead. Mal, sleeping in the cave, wakes up to the gunfire. He rushes to the stream and finds his father dead and the rifle gone. In town, at the saloon, Cobb confronts Payton, accusing Stella's partner, Kelly, of stealing money. Cobb fires Kelly and offers Payton the job of security chief. When Kelly tries to shoot Cobb, Cobb kills him. Payton, now doubting working for Cobb, watches as people gather around Kelly's body. During the commotion, a well-dressed gambler named Slick arrives, looking for a fair game. Cobb sends him to Payton for arrangements. Meanwhile, Mal tells his sister, Ray, about their father's death. She is indifferent and unhappy to see him. Mal begs her to leave her life of prostitution, but she refuses. Elsewhere, the settlers Jake and Emmett helped are having a picnic when McKendrick's men attack. They kill livestock, burn homes, and shoot settlers. In the chaos, Jake and Emmett fight back, killing some of the attackers, and Emmett recovers a Henry rifle from one of them. Back at the saloon, Stella and Payton have a fun chat about how she waters down the liquor, saying the pure stuff is too strong. Their talk is interrupted when Jake and Cobb's man, Tyree, cause a commotion. Tyree is angry because Jake kissed his woman, Phoebe. Payton steps in, takes Tyree's gun, and tells Jake to leave to avoid more trouble, reminding him of his previous arrest in Turley. After giving the gun back to Tyree, Tyree threatens Payton by pressing it under his chin. Stella calms things down, and Tyree leaves. In another part of town, Emmett and his nephew Augie are stopped by McKendrick and his men while riding. Seeing his brand on the horse Augie is riding, Emmett gives it up, realizing these men were part of the group that attacked him while he slept. The encounter is tense, with McKendrick wanting revenge for Emmett shooting his father, who had targeted Jake. After a moment of mutual tension, McKendrick withdraws, leaving a sense of unspoken threats. In the saloon, Cobb tells Stella about his past with Payton. They were part of a bandit crew with Tyree and other friends. They had a stray dog as a mascot, which caused trouble after one of their heists. The dog made Tyree's horse throw him, so Tyree shot the dog. Payton showed compassion by stopping to help the dog, which led to him being captured by a posse and imprisoned. After sharing this story, Cobb gives Payton his first earnings from the saloon and hints that Payton might take over running it. However, Payton refuses, not wanting to take Stella's dream away. Cobb then says he's worried about the trouble Emmett, Jake, and Mal are causing in his town and asks Payton to stay out of his way in dealing with them. Payton reluctantly agrees. Meanwhile, outside the town, Emmett is practicing shooting with Mal's father's rifle and his pistol when he runs out of bullets. Suddenly, several of McKendrick's men, including Tyree, attack him with lassos and threaten to kill him. Just in time, Mal, positioned on a hill, shoots one of Tyree's men in the hand and kills another, forcing the rest to run away. Mal tells Emmett he was looking for him and the rifle. Despite being badly hurt, Emmett insists on finding his brother, worried that McKendrick will target him next. Mal advises Emmett to rest and offers to search for Jake himself, warning that both of them are in danger. Mal talks to his sister Ray about their father's killers and convinces her to arrange a meeting with Jake through Slick. However, when Mal gets to the meeting place, he finds Cobb waiting for him, who then beats and arrests him. When Payton visits Mal in jail, Mal's trust in Payton weakens because of his connection to Cobb. Back at Jake and Emmett's sister's house, a grim scene unfolds as McKendrick and his men take control. They capture Jake when he returns home. They burn down the house to destroy important land papers, shoot the brother-in-law when he tries to stop them, knock out his wife, and kidnap Augie, who saw them start the fire. News of the fire quickly reaches the saloon, and Payton and Stella rush to help. Stella organizes her men to form a bucket brigade led by Payton, but the fire is too strong to put out. Cobb arrives, lamenting the destruction, and reminds Payton of the risks of getting involved, warning him it might endanger Stella. While Stella scolds Payton for not acting during the chaos, Ray learns about Mal's arrest and secretly takes Slick's hidden boot dagger. When the deputy Mal had previously injured brings her to him and tries to frisk her, she stabs him in the back with the dagger but gets shot in the process. Mal overpowers the deputy, pushing the dagger deeper and killing him. As Mal looks for the cell keys, another deputy appears. Without seeing him clearly, Mal throws the dagger, hitting and killing him. Stella, realizing why Payton hesitated, understands that Cobb was using her safety to control Payton. She laments the presence of bullies in the world. Payton respects her strength but remains afraid of what Cobb might do to her. Soon after, Phoebe arrives, telling them that Mal has escaped and left Ray unconscious in the storage room. Mal returns to the cave to update Emmett on what happened during the night, including Augie's kidnapping. Despite his injuries, Emmett gets up, ready to fight, as does Mal, armed with both his and his father's rifles. They, along with Payton, head towards McKendrick's ranch. There, they cause a cattle stampede, getting rid of most of McKendrick's men. From the roof of the ranch house, Mal provides sniper cover while Emmett reaches the house, saves Augie, and fights several enemies. Augie tells Emmett that Jake supposedly died after falling into a ravine, but Emmett, knowing Jake's skills, thinks his brother faked his death. Inside the barn, Payton fights off attackers and almost gets shot by a gunman with Jake's pistols. But Jake swings in on a rope, stopping the gunman. Together, they defeat the remaining enemies and join Emmett and Augie at the house. Mal almost gets shot on the roof, but manages to kill his attacker thanks to Payton's warning. The group leaves the ranch and returns to Silverado. On the edge of Silverado, they leave Augie at the town cemetery and get ready to face Cobb's men. Jake charges into the saloon, drawing the attention of Tyree and another deputy. As they search the saloon, Jake, having removed his boots for silence, hides under Stella's bar platform. When Tyree and the deputy split up outside, Jake comes out, calls to them, and shoots them both at the same time. Mal runs to the storeroom where Ray is wounded and finds Slick already there. Slick tells Mal that Ray needs medical help, but then tries to kill Mal with a hidden derringer. However, Mal is too fast and disarms Slick, then stabs him in the stomach with his dagger, ending the threat. Meanwhile, Emmett rides through town, looking for McKendrick, and they have a fierce gunfight on horseback. Emmett manages to kill McKendrick's sniper, but loses his rifle when McKendrick hits it with a lucky shot, jamming it. Emmett also gets shot in the leg, causing him to drop his pistol. He then leads McKendrick to the other side of town, where he rides up a loading ramp and has his horse jump from a platform, hitting McKendrick in the head and knocking him off his horse, ultimately killing him. At the same time, Payton and Cobb get ready for a classic Old West duel, with Stella watching nervously. They say their goodbyes before Cobb makes the first move, but Payton is faster and shoots Cobb dead. Payton then slowly and carefully puts his pistol back in its holster. Back at the saloon, Payton and Stella finally enjoy a drink of the good stuff. Emmett and Jake say goodbye and head off to California as planned, knowing their family is safe. Mal and Ray return to their father's farm. As they all leave, Payton, now wearing the sheriff's badge of Silverado, seems ready to marry Hannah, the settler. So the moral of the story is always keep a spare gun, never trust a thief with your horse, and if all else fails, a good hat and a quick draw can save the day.